Let's have a look. SuperSwan! I won the Ballon d'Or! It's alright, guys. I knew the whole time. You are looking at a Ballon d'Or quality player. What's going on, guys? My name is Adam. I am a SuperSwan, and welcome to episode 22 of FM Creators FC. We have gone 10 years in the future. What is the future of FM Creators FC? Where have the players gone? Have they stuck to the club? Or have they moved on to greener pastures? Before we look at the players, we will have a look at the club. So the first thing I can see pretty much 6 times on my screen is FM Creators FC celebrate a double. So we know in the latest season they've won at least 2 trophies. But we'll have a look at the club first of all. Let's see what they got up to. And immediately, not all players are at the club. There are a handful that are still at FM Creators FC, and we'll go through them first. So FlyingAllNight still in goal for the FM Creators FC. 32 years old, 79 caps. He's a key player, and he's pretty much stayed at FM Creators his whole career. With £60 million, we look at his career stats. He's a very good 7.3 average rating throughout his whole career. Went on loan to Napoli in the 21-22 season, which was the season after we left the club. So we'll be interested to see why he went out on loan that year. But FlyingAllNight has done it. If we go to milestones, is there any way we can see personal awards? Is there anything we can see from that? Awards? He's named in Team of the Week for a few things. Landmarks, he's won a load of trophies whilst at FM Creators FC. But he broke a few records. He broke some records at Napoli. Clean sheets, he was the vice-captain as well. So it does look like he is one of the best goalies in the world. But FlyingAllNight, still at the club. Heid the Baw Gaming and Kylex, the centre-back partnership, is still there. But Heid the Baw Gaming, 151 caps, 8 goals, still at the club. Another legend of FM Creators FC. Another player went out on loan. He went on loan 3 years in a row. So something's must have gone on in that 21-22 season. We'll have to find out in a bit what happened there. But a 7.42 average rating. He has been solid for the club. And Heid the Baw Gaming at 32 years old got 151 caps for Gibraltar. Kylex, the other player at the back for FM Creators FC, he's also 32, 127 caps, 10 goals. He is still at the club. We look at his career stats, and again another loan move in the 21-22 season to Borussia Dortmund. Stayed at FM Creators for another couple of years before going on to Man City. But he has stayed at FM Creators FC for the rest of his career. 7.45 average rating, 12 goals, 20 assists, and 20 player of the matches. A man, a legend at the club. A few players I don't recognise here, but FMZ Gaming in the midfield. He is still at the club. 83 caps, 5 goals. So with 75 million, 325 grand a week. And again, we see, well, he stayed at the club for the 21-22 season, but he did go out on loan to both Manchester clubs a year after. So, I don't think players or fans from Manchester is really going to appreciate FMZ Gaming, as he has played for both Manchester clubs. But he did come back to play the rest of his career at FM Creators FC, and he looks to have done a very solid job whilst at the club. Red Event Games, 32 years old, 130 caps, 43 goals. He's been now trained as an attacking midfield, a right back, and a left midfielder. So it does look like he has been trained in multiple positions. He went out on loan to Spurs in that 21-22 season. Something must have changed in that year. We'll have to go and have a look. But since then, he has been banging in the goals for fun. 12 goals, 21 goals there, 12 assists. He's been a really good player. Did he win anything? If we go to milestones, land awards, competitions, nothing really there. I'm trying to see if there's anything here that if he won the Ballon d'Or or anything, but I'm sure we'll have a look at that individually. But Red Event Games look to have been the unsung hero here, as he's been a very good player going into the rest of this save. So Red Event Games, you're doing really well since leaving, or well, since staying at the club really. Benny Jaco, the player of the year in the last playable season, he's still at the club as well. He's a left midfielder, now he can also play left back a little bit there. But with him, he spent his whole career at FM Creators FC. He never left the club, didn't go out on loan. He's been a magnificent servant. And if we look at his stats, 409 games, 169 goals, 81 assists, and a 7.43 average rating. 135 caps, 57 goals. He looks to have been a very solid player for the FM Creators FC. And the only other name I can see still in the club is TheTargetMan, who did become the number one striker at the club before he left. 110 caps, 83 goals. We look at his career stats. He went on loan to Spurs in that 21-22 season before going out back on loan to Manchester United. So a lot of players leaving on loan. We'll have to find out what happened, but since then, 23 goals, 13 goals. Goals dropped off a bit in that season. Maybe he was injured, but he's done pretty well for himself since. So TheTargetMan, the only striker left at the club. So those are the only players that stuck with the FM Creators. We'll have to find out what happened to everybody else. And we do have a shortlist with all of these players on them. So we have got the shortlist loaded up. And if I sort it by value, so the highest being at the top, we can see that the top three, TargetMan, Red Event Games, and Benny Jaco, all still at the club. But FM, there's a lot of Man City here. So Manchester City have taken a lot of these players off our hands. So I think we'll have a look at them first and see how many of those players are still at the club. So let's have a look at the Man City side. How many players have they got? They've got a lot of our players. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players from the former FM Creators FC. We'll go through them individually. CptBeardyManFM went to Manchester City. He looks like he's been there for a while. 126 caps, 12 goals. When did he leave? So, well, very recently. The latest season he left for £58 million, going up to 71 mil. He did go on loan in the 22-23 season. Spent most of his career at FM Creators FC. So he did stick around the club for a long time before Manchester City swooped in with a £58 million offer. But CptBeardyMan now at Manchester City. He is joined by our left back, Aussie Villain, who's 32, 86 caps, 9 goals. He now can play all along the left-hand side, along with even a little competent right-back position for him as well. When did he leave to go to Manchester City? So he went on Napoli at loan, and he did pretty well. 35 appearances, 1 goal, 3 assists. And then he was bought by Man City for a very cheap £46.5 million, and he's been with them ever since. So he's been at Man City for a good 8 seasons now. So he's I would say more Man City player than an FM Creators FC player. But Aussie Villain no longer at FM Creators FC. So we have a look at who else we've got. Scooter's joined them as well, 32 years old. So they're all 32, they're all exactly the same age. But 98 caps, 6 goals. He can play in the midfield, he can play defensive midfield, and he's a little bit of a centre-back now as well. So he's been retrained at Manchester City. But if we look at him, so he started, he did well, he stayed there, but then he did get bought by Man City for £74 million. He didn't play any games in the 21-22 season, so something's happened. We just don't know what it is yet. But Man City, 74 million, he's been there for a good 8 years as well. He's been a starter for them, 7.0 average rating. Not many goals or assists, but he was always the ball-winning midfielder. So to be honest, he's not really a goal scorer. But Scooter, still at Man City, almost got to 100 caps for Gibraltar. GeeW FM, the vice-captain of FM Creators FC, he's gone to Man City as well, and he can play a bunch of new positions, DM, both wings, attacking midfield, 127 caps, 30 goals, so G is adapted well to Manchester City. When did he leave? So again, 21-22, he went on loan to Arsenal for a season before staying for 2 more at FM Creators FC. £100 million Man City spent to get GeeW FM into their team, and he's been there for about 6 seasons now. So G in the midfield for Manchester City, a very solid player, a lot of player traits as well. So he's been a rock in that midfield for Manchester City. And it looks like the striker they've got up front is avoiding relegation. 32 years old, 135 caps, 83 goals with £71 million. He looks like he's been at Manchester City for a while as well. So after the 3 seasons we had him for, it was literally the next season, Man City spent £129 million to get avoiding relegation to lead the line for Man City. And just look how well he's done. He's had double digits in every single league season, even getting an 8.0 average rating in the second to last season. So avoiding relegation's done well for himself. He's carved himself a career in the Premier League. He looks to be Man City's top goal scorer. They've got SuperSwan on the bench, so once again, I'm playing second fiddle to avoiding relegation, but it looks like I am at Man City, which, as a Liverpool and Swansea fan, not really fussed on Man City, but there we are. I am at Manchester City, but we'll have a look at my career. What happened to me? So after the first season we left, we didn't get any games. Went on loan a lot of times, actually. So went on loan to Bayern in Germany. 2 seasons on loan to Man City, a loan to Barcelona, followed by an £87 million bid from Man City, and I've been there now for at least 4 to 5 years. I had 2 good starts, 13 goals and 18 goals, but the goals have dried up in the last 4 seasons, only 3 league goals in the latest season, so it doesn't look like I'm doing very well, but I am playing second fiddle to avoiding relegation. So they've got 2 of our strikers at the club. Hashtag FM Creators, they've moved on to Man City as well, and a very random set of positions. They can play left back, left wing, attacking midfield, right midfield. They can play just anywhere on the pitch, really. But if we look at them, they've had 96 caps, 11 goals for them, and they've had a bit of a varied career. So they started off at FM Creators for those 3 seasons. Went on loan to Arsenal halfway through the year. They went to Barcelona, Man City and Liverpool before a £109 million move to Manchester City. So he's been there 5 years. And FM Creators, the Discord link is in the description where all these players can be found. So he is at Man City as well. We've got the FM Wonderkids. 32 years old, 97 caps, 6 goals. He's been at Manchester City for the looks of it quite a while. Lasted the 3 years, but then he went to Liverpool for 81 million. So he did go to Liverpool first, spent 4 seasons at Liverpool before Man City spent £90 million. They did make a profit of 9 million on the FM Wonderkids, but he spent the last 6 seasons at Manchester City. Our last player, Trequartista, currently injured, but he is at Man City, can play midfield and up front. So 10 goals in the league this season, 41 caps, 21 goals. So not as many caps for Trequartista. But we look at his career stats, and again, he lasted the 3 seasons, and then a year of, 16 appearances, not many, and then went to Manchester City for £72 million and spent the rest of his career in the Premier League. So it does look like a lot of our players went to Manchester City, so they've benefited the most from the FM Creators. Did that mean they won a lot of did they win a lot of Premier League titles in the last few years? I don't know if we can really see, if I'm being honest, so not really sure. Premier League division, can we see who won the Premier League? Oh well, Man City have absolutely dominated it. So Manchester City have absolutely dominated this save, probably with help of our FM Creators team, but they are actually killing the Premier League with their dominance. So what players didn't go to Man City? So MadScienTiSt, our captain left the club to go to our rivals PSG. So the MadScienTiSt, 150 caps, 43 goals. He can play centre-back, defensive midfield, he can play midfield, he can play on the wing. MadScienTiSt, he's just, a mad scientist. He can play anywhere across the pitch. When did he go to PSG? So it was the season after. So he sold him the season after, 103 million. He is probably more PSG than he is for FM creators. And our captain, our crown jewel, left the club to go to our rivals. So MadScienTiSt did go to PSG. And after we look at the players, it'll be interesting to see how many league titles we won. So did anybody else not go to Man City? So 94th minute, he's at Barcelona. So he's gone out to Spain to play for Barca. £68 million, 109 caps. When did he go to Barca? Let's have a look. So those were our 3 seasons. Went on loan to Spurs before being sold for £78 million. So big money deals for these players. And he has been Barca's #1 left back for a good 7 to 8 years now. So 94th minute, going out to Spain. Not many people have. We haven't seen any Real Madrid buys either. But 94th minute, he's not got the 94th shirt. So 94th minute, whoever your agent is, they've not really done well with your shirt number there, mate. But he's gone to Barcelona. Who else have we got? We've got GeeW. He went to Atletico Madrid. So we've got a few more Spanish players now, or players that have gone out to Spain. But GeeW, 71 caps, 10 goals for him. He's also been trained at centre-back. But let's have a look here. When did he move on? Let's see. So we had our 3 seasons. So they've all done 3 seasons. And then he went on loan to Spurs. Went on loan to Liverpool. Before Atletico Madrid did buy him for 67 mil. And he has been a starter for them ever since. Very solid stats. 10 goals that year. But he's been a very key player for Atletico Madrid. GeeW, pretty solid player he's turned out to be. We've got Kylex Plays, so my fellow podcast colleague of mine. He has gone to Liverpool. He's now worth £60 million. He can play on both wings and in the centre. Let's have a look at his career. How did he end up? So we had 3 seasons. Then he didn't play. He went on loan to Red Bull Leipzig. So went out to Germany for a season before going out to Spurs for 2 more. I'm really unsure. We're going to have to try and find out what happened here. But Liverpool bought him for 57 mil. A very good deal, I would say, for Kylex Plays. He was a very good winger for the FM Creators FC. And he's been with Liverpool ever since. So about, 7 seasons he's had at Liverpool. 13 goals the season before last. And it does look like he's gone against the trend of going to Man City. He's decided to go to Liverpool instead. And who else have we got? So we've got Mr. Tom. Mr. Tom, I would say, probably the player of the save. He's gone to Liverpool as well. He can play right along that right-hand side. 92 caps for Mr. Tom. When did he leave? So we had our 3 seasons. He had a bit of a gap there. Went on loan to Man City before 1 game in, and Liverpool swooped in with a £78 million bid. And for the last 6 to 7, well, probably more, 8 seasons, he's been at Liverpool. So Kylex Plays and Mr. Tom linking up at Liverpool. We've got Omega Luke at Arsenal. So our goalkeeper went to Arsenal, and he's been their #1 with 104 caps for Gibraltar. And we'll have a look at his career stats. So he stayed at FM Creators for that 3 seasons. Went on no, this is a tasty transfer. So he went on loan to Spurs for a season, and then signed for Arsenal. Oh, that's going to not go down very well with the Spurs fans. That's like a Sol Campbell, that is, going from Spurs to Arsenal. I mean, technically he went from FM Creators to Arsenal, but from going to Spurs to Arsenal, that must have been a kick in the teeth for the Spurs fans. But Omega Luke clearly didn't care. He stayed at Arsenal for all those years, and he is their #1 goalkeeper. We've looked at them lots. We've got Big Daddy Bood. He went to Liverpool as well, which as a Manchester United fan, I am sure he is chuffed to bits with. Big Daddy Bood at Liverpool, centre-back, can play also defensive midfield. Did he go to any other club? So he did the 3 years, and then he was bought by Liverpool for £56 million. So between 2021 and 2022, there must have been a massive sale or a massive loans out from the club. But Big Daddy Mood stayed at Liverpool for the majority of the career, and I'm sure he'll take pleasure in knowing that he is now a Liverpool legend. But who else have we got left? We've got JB on FM. He went out to Atletico Madrid, so he's followed Jack Deem, I believe, out to Atletico. Let's have a look. So he's 93 caps, £48.5 million. He stayed at FM Creators for quite a while, actually, and he left on a free. He left on a free transfer, so we did not even get a fee for JB. I mean, him and Mr. Tom were amazing fullbacks, so to lose him on a free is a massive kick in the teeth. But JB took advantage, and he went to Atletico Madrid for the remainder of his career. So well done, JB. Went out on a free, and I think we've only got a couple of players left. We've got Friedbadger Gamers. We've got good old Badge. He's gone to Liverpool as well, which I'm sure he's a Man United fan as well. So, all these United fans going out to Liverpool, I'm sure they're loving life right now. But we'll have a look at Badge, 32 years old, only 12 caps for Gibraltar, so clearly not a starter for the national team. But he stayed for 3 years, went to Spurs, then went to Benfica. Very unorthodox, going out to Portugal. But then Liverpool did buy him for £40.5 million, and he's been there ever since. So Liverpool, Man City, taking advantage of our FM creators, and he has been given the famous number 8 jersey. So Badge, you are following the footsteps of Stevie G and that number 8 shirt. And I think the last player on our list is Fryman7. He's gone to Chelsea, the only player to go to Chelsea. Our attacking midfielder, 25 caps, 11 goals. So another player who wasn't really a starter, but we'll have a look at him. So he did 3 years, went out to Arsenal on loan, and then Chelsea swooped in with a £68 million deal. So big deals. He was at Chelsea and looked like he carved a very good career for himself. So that is our players. So all the players covered, they've all moved on, or some of them did stay. But how many trophies did FM creators win over the years? Let's have a look. So Valverde is in charge of them. So if we have a look, I think the quickest way will be through the managers, I think. So there we are, SuperSwan. So we won 3 leagues, 10 cups. And it looks like Valverde's been in charge since we left, actually. So he's never been sacked. He's been there for 9 years, well, almost 10 years. Only about 10 days off the 10-year period. So he's won 8 leagues and 21 cups. So there we are. So he's won the Trophée des Champions, the Super Cup, the Club World Cup, the Coupe de la Ligue, French Cup winners, a lot of French Cups, a lot of Trophée des Champions, and he's only won 1 Champions League. Is that right? Let's have a look at Champions League. So according to this, we've only won the Champions League 1 more time. And that is correct. We've only won the Champions League 1 more time. We made the final a couple of times, but Man City, Atletico, Bayern, Inter Milan 1-1. So the Champions League has been shared around a lot of the other clubs, so it hasn't been quite as dominating for the FM Creators FC. But if we look at the league, did they win the league every time? Let's have a look at the past winners. So it was only 1 year they didn't win the league, and that was 21-22. Something happened that year because we won the first 3, and something happened in that season. Can we work out what happened? Let's have a look. So if we look at the transfer history, let's see if we can try and work out what happened. So that was our first season, that was our second season, that was our third season. So this is the 4th season, and there was a massive intake of players. So De Gea, Pogba, Arthur, Lukaku, Christiansen all came in, and we had a lot of loans out. A lot of loans out, actually. A lot of our players left. I wonder why that is. Very strange. And again, a lot of loans out of the club and a lot of buys in. So for whatever reason, they mustn't have been able to play our players. I'm going to do some research. I'll be back. I'm going to do some research. I'm going to try and find out why our players left the club. I've worked it out. I know why everyone left. Gibraltar left the EU with Brexit. So they were classed as foreign players. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So Gibraltar and the French League were no longer EU, so the foreign player limit came into effect. And if we look at Ligue 1, if I can get it up, Ligue 1, there's a rule that states, I think it's 3, so maximum of 4 non-EU players. So because Gibraltar was non-EU, they had to let a lot of players go. That's incredible. And the only way I kind of worked this out was I had to look at the squad. So if I go back to FM Creators, I looked at FlyingAllNight. And if we look at his information, he does now have French nationality, which makes him an EU player. So because of our Gibraltar passports, a lot of players had to leave the club. So that's why we had the mass exodus, because we couldn't play any of our players. So it's a good job we left after the 3rd season, because if we'd have stayed on for another year, we wouldn't have been able to play our players. That's amazing. So because of that, we had to loan everyone out to try and get them EU nationality. What a scenario that is. So that's why they all went to England, because they could play there. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. You learn something new every day. So we've looked at Champions League, we've looked at the league, we've looked at the players. We'll have a look at World Player of the Year. So we'll end the episode on World Player of the Year. I think that's about it as far as things to show off, really. So, World Cup. Did they win the World Cup? Did Gibraltar win the World Cup? They did. They won it in 2022. So Gibraltar did win the World Cup to go along with their European Championship. Although they didn't do much else. Portugal won it in 2026. Romania coming in runners-up. So I'd say that's a very good result for Romania. And then France and Chile. Well, France winning it, Chile in the runners-up, getting the 2nd place. So Gibraltar did win the World Cup. So if we look at World Footballer of the Year, the Ballon d'Or, did any of our players win it? Let's have a look. SuperSwan! I won the Ballon d'Or! It's alright, guys. I knew the whole time. You are looking at a Ballon d'Or quality player. Red Event Games won it twice as well. So between us, me and Red Event Games are the only players to win the Ballon d'Or. So there we go, guys. That is a nice little wrap-up of the FM Creators FC 10 years down the line. And that is going to wrap this series up. So that just goes to show that if you give 26 players, 170 current ability, 200 potential, they win every single trophy going. So that's been at the end of our experiment, I guess, Creator Club. One of the two. But I hope you enjoyed, guys. That is going to be the final episode of this series, and probably the final episode of FM19 as we look forward to the FM20 beta. So next week, hopefully the beta will be out. If not, I'll release some blogs or something just to keep us going another week until we get the release. So as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe. We upload FM19 videos, or probably going forward FM20 videos, every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, 6 PM GMT. And that is the end of FM Creators FC. So thank you to all the players that were involved. Thank you for allowing me to use your names and your logos. Check out them all in the description. Join the FM Creators Discord. All your favourites are in there. I'm in there. If you do join, tell them SuperSwan sent you. And we will see you next time for, I don't know, FM20. I will see you then. Thank you very much for watching.